I'd like to call the February 17th meeting to order. And if you could, if you're able to please stand and do the pledge led by Councilor Cordero.
From the town. Allegiance to the flag of the United
States of America,
which is
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Senator, roll call, please.
Councillor Ouellette. Councillor Pendleton.
Present.
Councillor Cordero.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Paterna.
Here.
Mayor Zimmerman.
Here.
Councillor Delnicki. Here. Councillor Fitzgerald. Here. Councillor King.
Here.
Councillor Balboni.
All right, thank you very much. Item 4 is Mayor's remarks, and I have a few, and then we have a guest here today. So I think I have 4 items today. First one is women in sports. For those who didn't know, National Girls and Women in Sports Day 2026 was observed on February 4th, celebrating female athletes and promoting equality in sports. On behalf of the council, I want to congratulate South Windsor High School graduate Jack Hathaway. As I think most people now know, he was born and raised in South Windsor, graduating from South Windsor High School in the year 2000. He earned a bachelor's degree in physics and history from the U.S. Naval Academy in 2004 and a master's in national security and strategic studies from the U.S. Naval College. Hathaway attended the U.S. Naval Academy and was commissioned into the Navy in 2004 upon graduation. Among his assignments, he supported the Joint Chiefs of Staff at the Pentagon. He has more than 2,500 flight hours in 30-plus types of aircraft, more than 500 carrier landings, and flew 39 combat missions. A few days ago, on February 13th, he served as the pilot for the SpaceX Crew 12, which launched to the International Space Station. Last weekend, I had the honor to attend the Gold Award ceremony for Ritika Razakaran, whose project involved expanding STEM opportunities for women and girls. I returned the plaque that's been showcased in the town hall, which now includes 3 Gold Award recipients. And lastly, a quote from, I wanted to talk a little bit about the first Mayor's Forum, which is next Monday, and I'm going to quote from the handout put together from Deputy Mayor Paterna, who's taken the lead and invested a lot of time and effort for this important event again on Monday. South Windsor stands at a pivotal moment for economic growth. With a strong commercial base, regional connectivity, and high quality of life, the town is well positioned to attract new employers, expand its tax base, and create long-term economic resilience. The Mayor's Forum on Business Development brings together regional and local leaders to examine practical strategies that will help South Windsor compete more effectively for the new investment while protecting the community's fiscal health. We hope our elected leaders and interested town members will attend this very important first in a series of town forums this coming Monday, February 23rd, here in the council chamber, starting at 7 p.m. Thank you. And now, Mr. Maniscalco, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I believe Mr. Sullivan is here from the library to do a presentation on the Library Department's strategic plan.
excuse me, Mr. Sullivan, if you can turn on your microphone? Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me here this evening. I'm here to give you a brief overview of the library's 5-year plan. I gave you physical copies of it. Don't feel like you need to follow along with it. I just wanted to make sure you had the full version in case you wanted to reference it at a later date or look into anything in any more detail. I know you're aware of it, but in case anybody at home is watching and isn't, wanted to talk about what a strategic plan is. The strategic plan allows an organization, such as the library, to take stock in the services that it offers the community. It allows it to evaluate whether or not we are meeting the needs of the community and where we're doing well, where we're not doing so well. And it allows us to focus staff energy on a couple of long-term goals instead of being a little more scattershot in what we're pursuing. So our plan is called Raise Up, Reach Out, and Rejuvenate. And we're calling it that because our purpose is to raise up the quality of library services in the town, reach out to different community organizations, and to rejuvenate the physical space of the building. Here is our strategic planning committee. It is myself, Betsy Asplund of the Library Board of Directors, and 5 members of our full-time staff, each representing a different department from within the library. So you have Bella Feast from Young Adult Services, Cindy King from Circulation, Kate Noonan from Adult Services, Sarah Pratson from Children's, and Jason Stump from Technical Services. This whole process has taken about 18 months. The library board directed me to create a strategic planning committee in August 2024. Throughout the summer and the fall, the committee worked on updating the library's mission statements, coming up with a list of values, and coming up with a vision statement. We began making public surveys that went live in January to the public. And in February, we held 4 public forums, so the public could come in and give us more detailed feedback in a way that didn't really fit so well on the survey. In March, the committee began administering community partner surveys. And those were organizations that we identified as having some significant overlap in our mission statement. So we administered those. We also conducted a feedback session specifically for library staff. Overall, the committee received 241 responses from the public survey, 18 from the community partner survey, and we had over 40 individuals attend the public feedback sessions. Later in the spring, we started to sift through all of that data. So by August, we were distilling all that information down into what turned into hundreds of goals. The committee organized them underneath different umbrellas and eventually came out with 12 overarching goals that we had to winnow down to 5, so it was something that we felt was achievable within a 5-year plan. Each of those goals was broken down into sub-goals. The sub-goals have sub-sub-goals, and then we created a plan of action for each of the items that identified responsibility for completion and a broad timeline of events. A draft plan was approved by the library board in January, and that brings us to here tonight. Let's talk a little bit about the meat of the plan. Here's our revised mission statement. So a mission statement defines an organization's business, its objectives, and how it hopes to achieve them. It speaks to the work that we're doing right now at this moment. So the South Windsor Public Library provides safe, free, universal access to trustworthy information, up-to-date technology, well-equipped community spaces, and a broad spectrum of materials and services to encourage literacy, growth, and a high quality of life for all members of the community. Here's our vision statement. A vision statement outlines what an organization aspires to become, speaks to the future that we hope to create. And for the library, the future that we hope to create is a vibrant, inclusive community with no barriers to exploration. Here we have a list of institutional values. So you can imagine there's a lot of overlap between the library's mission, vision, and values with the town's values and priorities that it put together in its 2023 strategic plan. We've got education, family, empathy, inclusiveness, public safety, optimism, integrity, adaptability. Our work most closely aligns with priorities 1, 3, and 4 from the town's strategic plan, which is working to address the quality of life of residents and businesses, addressing inclusivity and affordability in town, and promoting a quality educational system. So back to raise up, reach out, and rejuvenate. Here are 5 overarching goals to raise the level of services offered to the community, make new connections, and refresh the physical space of the library. Goal 1 is to transform the library's physical space to allow for new and improved services and to be more fun, welcoming, and useful for patrons. The library's interior space sends a message to the community. It's cluttered, it's a little dark, it's worn, some places are out of date. Shelving and chairs don't match from one section to another, and the lighting and carpeting was replaced about 5 years ago, but it's been a long time since the furniture was purchased and longer still since anybody thought about the setup or flow of the entire department. We've begun some work on this already, but a full redesign of the children's and young adult space and also of the adult space would go a long way towards making Swipple feel like a modern, state-of-the-art public library. This is about more than just aesthetics, though. We want to make information easier to find and our services easier to use across the board. Goal 2 is simplify and streamline internal processes to connect the library patrons with higher quality services faster. I believe that we do our job well at the library, but I also believe that there's always room for improvement. We are missing some structural components that would allow us to better work together and to provide a more consistent experience to patrons. This goal ensures that we are maintaining a strong core while we look for ways to branch out and grow. It calls for standardization and documentation of existing procedures and seeks to improve the backbone of our work, circulation and cataloging, by upgrading to a new integrated library system and moving towards RFID tagging and away from barcode tagging of our items. Goal number 3 is evaluate and adapt the library's communication strategy to better advertise programs and services, increase usability, and create more social engagement opportunities to patrons. This is about getting organized in how we are engaging with the community and how we're telling our story. It calls for increasing outreach visits and developing marketing materials and processes so that our messaging is consistent, recognizable, and clear. Number 4 is improve programming for all age groups by exploring new types of experiences, freeing up staff to create more recreational and educational options, and increasing the funds allocated for library events each year. This is about improving our program offerings to the community. Programming is a core library service, and we've made great strides in increasing the variety and quantity of programs that we are offering, but we're kind of at our limit with what we're able to do with our current resources. This goal seeks to sharpen our processes for evaluating and planning programs and to make sure that we have a way to be more successful evaluating them and to look for ways to increase funding so we can be able to present more opportunities to the people of the town. Finally, goal 5, introduce and augment services based on community need and success in similar communities. This goal is about seeking and introducing new services in town, using the specific needs of the town of South Windsor, and also looking at what has worked in other similar public libraries as our compass. We've seen a lot of success in our makerspace over the past year, and we hope to build on that enthusiasm by expanding its offerings. Next on the docket, we're looking to install a library of things to circulate non-traditional items. Tools will be the first thing that we're doing with that. And we're also looking into the feasibility and cost of installing an exterior pickup locker That's so you could pick up your books or DVDs after the library is closed or before it's open to just increase our access. And there it is. That's a brief overview of where we're going for the next 5 years. Raise up, reach out, and rejuvenate. Thank you for taking the time to hear me out tonight. If you have any questions or anything, I'd be happy to answer.
Does anybody have any questions? Deputy Mayor Paterno.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Kevin, for coming in tonight. Who's doing your website?
I'm putting it together.
Okay, so I just want to commend you and your
thank you.
staff. It's a greatly improved website. I feel a lot more comfortable when I'm on the library website, so thank you for the changes.
No, glad to hear it.
Appreciate it.
Anyone else? Just a couple things. I really want to thank you for the, not only the handout we got in advance, but the packet tonight. I plan to spend a little more time looking at that, but it looks like obviously a whole bunch of work went into it, and I really appreciate that. I did have one question, but I just want to couch it with, it's probably not the reality this year, right? But if we had a few more dollars available during the budget, I guess I'd be interested. It's on page 10 of today's presentation, page 3 of what we got in advance. It's number 4, and it's about improving programming. I'm particularly interested in the children's section. I know as somebody who wasn't on the council but was on the board sitting in the audience, probably, I think it was during the budget, but probably 6 months before that, there was a number of things being discussed about how the library might improve. So if you had a little more money, could you give us some example of what you might be able to do in a short period of time at like the children's library?
So for the children's library specifically, I'd love to have a regular Saturday story time. Manchester has a Saturday story time every week at 10 o'clock, and it's just packed with people. It's difficult for us to do that with the way that we are staffed. So if we were able to bring somebody in for half a day or a full day, a part-timer, just to put them on that specific duty, it wouldn't be tremendously expensive, and I think the community would really appreciate it.
Okay.
We have a lot of people that work, and it's difficult for them to get to our regularly scheduled programs.
Okay. Obviously, that's something we'll discuss when we get to the budget part of the year. All right. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
Much.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask a
Oh, I'm
question?
sorry.
Oh, yes.
Councilor Delnicki, or Councilor Pendleton, my fault.
Thank you, that's okay. I know it's so difficult confusing me and Counselor Delnicki. Yeah, my red hair, it's okay, we got this. So thank you for coming in this evening and giving us an update on the library. When you walked in and you were hired for the library, it's a lot different back then than where we are now. And I appreciate all the hard work that you've put into creating and updating our version here in town of the library, which is an awesome game plan that you have here. I like that, the strategic plan. Do we have a liaison to the library board still or no? Because now you're staff, so I don't know, do we have a liaison or not?
Not currently to my knowledge, no.
Mr. Maniscalco or Catherine, do we know?
I'm not aware of a liaison from the council to the library board, but the council does appoint the library board itself. It may make sense for the council to take that on as another activity that they do.
Okay. Right, I thought we had a liaison that reported from the library board, but that's okay. Well, that's what I was going to ask for, like updates on this. Not this is a great presentation, but following through with this and following through where we're at. And if Kevin can come back and give us some more updates on it, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah,
and the children's section, yeah.
I'm happy to come in on an annual basis or whatever fits the council's needs.
Or maybe
to give you an
more.
update of
Thank
where
you.
we're at.
Councilor Pendleton.
Appreciate you.
It sounds like you might be interested.
Oh, no. No, thank you.
All right. All right. Anybody else? All right, we're going to move on. Thank you again. Item 5 is adoption of the agenda. Deputy Mayor Paterno.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that we adopt the agenda as presented with a few minor changes. One, I'd like to move new business section A, voting on the town council rules, right below public input. And number 2, an executive session. I'd like to add to our executive session, one item would be a confidential report on information on recent FOI requests, and another one would be an update on legal issues for the town.
All right, can I get a second? Any comments?
Mr. Mayor,
Attorney Corella?
I'm not too sure what item C under the executive session would be, but I don't believe that is something that you can conduct in an executive session. I'm not too sure what you're getting at. If there's some other type of information that's confidential under FOIA laws that you'd like to discuss in executive session, maybe you can elaborate on that. But just to review FOIA requests is not something that can be discussed in an executive session.
Okay, so if we wanted, if we wanted to get an update on a particular FOI request, we can't do that in an executive session just to see
That's right.
what?
That's correct.
Okay. So our options would be to talk about it in public or ask a question offline?
That's right.
All right, is it appropriate to talk about that in public?
I don't know what FOIA request you're referring to. So
It's one that's connected to a lawsuit.
if it's part of the lawsuit or pending or threatened litigation, we can discuss strategy and negotiations of pending or threatened litigation in executive session. So if you'd like to talk about that, I would suggest Councilor Paterna rephrase the manner in which you want to go into executive session, discuss pending or threatened litigation matters. In particular, I'm imagining it's the Madison versus Armstrong matter.
Right.
Okay, then you should say that.
Okay, so first of all, I'll withdraw the item C, which is the FOI discussion. And under item D, update on legal issues for the town, the Madison versus the town versus Madison, or Madison versus the town legal issue with FOI as part of that report.
I just take the whole FOI out of it.
Oh, all right.
If you want to talk about a Madison versus the
Right.
town clerk, we
Right.
can talk about that in an executive session.
Okay.
Okay. Councilor Delnicky, do you have a comment?
Yeah, I do. I have a comment on the executive session request, but I have an amendment to 11B10. It's the resolution appointing Dan Katz back in the Be It Resolved section. It should say appoints versus reappoints. And then adding an executive session item during the meeting, I just think it's highly unusual. Maybe it's been done before. I know it's been done before, but it's not one of my favorites because it's not on the agenda for anyone out in the public who has an opportunity to come and speak generally on the item. So I'm going to be voting no on adding the executive session item.
Okay, I certainly understand that opinion. I would just, for the public, I would just let them know that this will be the second time that we've gotten an update, and it's certainly not a new topic. We've had a whole bunch of people come on a whole bunch of different meetings, so it's not like, I would agree with you if this was a first-time issue, but I certainly understand where you're coming from. So we had a second. Anybody else have any comments on the changes? So I'm going to ask for a vote on the changes as proposed by Deputy Mayor Paterna, the change by Councilor Delnicky. All those in favor? Aye? Aye. Anybody opposed?
No?
Okay. Can we get a roll call, please?
Counselor Ouellette?
No?
Counselor Pendleton?
Yes.
Counselor Cordero?
No.
Deputy Mayor Paterna?
Yes.
Mayor Zimmerman?
Yes.
Counselor Delnicky?
No?
Counselor Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Counselor King?
Yes.
All right. 5 and yeses and 3 noes.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're up to item 6, communication reports from the town manager. Mr. Maniscalco?
Point of order, Mr. Mayor.
Yep.
We voted on the changes, but we didn't vote on the completion of
Oh.
the adoption of the agenda.
I apologize. All right, so I'll ask for a vote on the amended agenda. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
No.
Roll call, please.
Counselor Olet? Yes. Counselor Pendleton?
Yes.
Counselor Cordero?
No.
Deputy Mayor Paterna?
Yes.
Mayor Zimmerman?
Yes.
Counselor Delnicki?
No.
Counselor Fitzgerald? Yes. Counselor King?
Yes.
All right, 6 and 2.
Thank you very much. All right, now we're on to item 6, communication reports from the town manager. Mr. Maniscalco, please.
Mr. Mayor, before you proceed, I was just checking on something. I believe in order to go into executive session requires 2/3 of those present to vote to do so. So I didn't hear exactly what the,
It was 6-2.
it was 6 and 2 to go into executive session?
Yep.
Very good, thank you.
So we're good. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, so all right, so maybe I misunderstood. I thought we were not voting to go into executive session, but we are? We didn't have a 2/3 vote on that.
Well, that was the second vote. The first vote,
The first vote on going to executive session, did we have a 2/3 vote on that?
the first vote was to make changes to the agenda, which passed 5-4, which included.
5-3.
5-3, my fault.
Mr. Mayor.
Which included the addition to it, to executive session. And then when the second vote was to actually approve the amended agenda, and that passed 6-2.
So everything you've done so far is correct, okay? You can amend the agenda, you've adopted the agenda. When the time comes to decide whether or not to go into executive session, you need to vote on that agenda item to decide whether or not to go into executive session and who you're gonna bring in. And at that time, you're gonna need 2/3 of those present to go into executive session.
Okay. All right. Mr. Maniscalco.
All right. In terms of my written report for everybody, the Collector of Revenue has sent out a motor vehicle update on February 11th, 2026. A put-on file of 1,069 records was sent to the DMV. This tool will help maintain a collection rate of 99% by blocking taxpayers from renewing their registration or registering a new vehicle when they owe money to the town. To receive immediate clearance, they must pay their debt in full using money order, or certified bank funds. Payments made online or with uncertified funds will be subject to a 10-day business hold. Standard & Poor rating. So the town has received good news that our AAA credit rating has been reconfirmed. Additionally, this year, Standard & Poor recognized the town's strong fiscal management by increasing the town's management score, reconfirming the town as one of the strongest fiscally run communities that Standard & Poor reviews. This reaffirmation of the town's rating will help the town achieve the best interest rates possible for debt issued for large capital projects approved at referendum. Now, moving forward, last week we actually had our bond sale, and we issued $14,600,000 in bonds on February 11th, 2026. The results of that, we ended up receiving 11 bids, and we accepted the low bid of 3.04% for interest rate. And to give you a little bit of comparison, Manchester, our neighbor, just went out to bid the day before us. They're a A+ rated community. They brought $18 million out to market. They received a 3.14% interest rate. So when we're talking larger numbers like this, that's probably close to $1 million in some instances. So I think our AAA and our work towards getting that pays off dividends when we do make issues like this. So we were very pleased with the way that went. We were the only AAA community out on market that day. We were also one of two communities from the Northeast out to bid on the market that day. So all of those things kind of played in our favor, and we were very, very pleased with where we ended up. So additionally, in terms of the Connecticut Municipal Development Authority, I have a resolution in my inbox that I've received that the council would have to pass to actually join, and then they would start reviewing the town's regulations and zoning regs to identify zones that would work well for them. CMDA staff did notify me that they wanted to have some conversations with their board first before we move forward with that resolution. I asked them to email me and let me know when they've done that, and I have not heard anything yet. In terms of our snow budget, as everyone is very well aware at this point, the town has had an unprecedented winter, resulting in numerous call-outs by staff to deal with road conditions. As a result, our overtime budget and salt budgets are spent. We will be dipping into our contingency funds in an effort to cover the overage and are closely monitoring the situation. Additional budgetary measures may need to be taken in the event the weather pattern continues. Thankfully, weather kind of broke a little bit, and we've seen a little bit lightening up, so hopefully we kind of keep going with that. Fingers crossed. Overall, big picture for our budget, though, our finance director still feels that we should be in a good spot. So, you know, we're keeping a very close eye on it. Two items I did not get on this report because we just received them today. First of all, our town attorney RFPs were received back. We received 5 responses back. Myself and staff are going to be going through, putting together a spreadsheet for the committee, kind of outlining what the costs are that were put in, and then we'll be getting packets together for the committee members and getting some meeting dates together for when that'll happen. And then lastly, just wanted to make the council aware we have our capital committee meeting tomorrow. I believe it's 5 o'clock. So the capital committee hopefully will be voting on the capital budget. That'll get forwarded to me to submit to all of you with the overall budget this year. And with that, I'd be happy to take any questions anybody has.
Councilor Roulette.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I know it says we're spent on the salt budget. Where are we with the salt shed? Are we okay if we have another giant storm, or are we tight?
So, you know, we've actually done fairly well. What kind of got a lot of news is other communities had not been keeping their shed full in off seasons. So anytime our shed starts to get empty because we have a storm, we put in an order immediately and have that filled. So we keep our shed full all year round as we go. As a result, we're in a decent situation. So if, for whatever reason, a supplier can't provide the salt within a period of time, we've got enough supply that we can make it through till they can. Other communities haven't been keeping that supply there, and as a result, they got down towards the bottom of the barrel and had some challenges.
Councilor Delnicki.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Maniscalco, are you able to provide the name of the entity that purchased our bonds?
I do have it in my office, and I can email it to all of you. I can't remember the name of them offhand. It's a banking institution that you'd know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Deputy Mayor Paterno.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Maniscalco, I know that the CMDA primarily uses low-interest loans directly to developers to help promote economic development. Do they have any grant funding programs at all?
So they do seem to have some grant funding options available to municipalities where those funds could be used for infrastructure and municipal projects within the zones that are identified. I'm not aware of them issuing any of those yet, but that is something that would be an option available to all of us.
But that's another plus for us if we
Correct.
join that organization.
There's a lot of pluses in the plus column.
Yeah. Thank you.
Councilor Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Maniscalco, I know we're discussing this a little bit before the meeting, but with the kind of news around the country that ICE and the Department of Homeland Security are going around and either purchasing or renting warehouses, knowing that we have a decent number of warehouses here in this community. I know that, you know, these are privately owned facilities, but are there ways in which we would know that if, you know, and obviously there's no evidence that they are coming in here, but should they, is there any way that we would know that that is happening, or that we could block that type of transaction happening or situation happening, you know, basically the
Right.
warehousing of human beings?
Right, so, I mean, that activity wouldn't be in conformance with an industrial use of those zones, so that would be one problem or issue, I think, and a tool that we could use possibly to say that's not allowed in that area. Whether we were notified or not, I'm not positive. My closest experience to something similar would be with the state of Connecticut, where they actually took some property and used it for a DOT facility in another community I worked in. In that instance, they basically sent us a letter and plans and said, this is what we're doing, you have no input, thanks, have a nice day. I don't know if it would be exactly similar to that. I know you, myself, and the town attorney had a very brief conversation about it prior to the meeting. We would need to dig into if the town had any additional tools available, but it's something that's, I had heard similar rumors to you. I haven't heard of anything in the state of Connecticut at this point, but we certainly would look into what tools we have available to us.
Cool. Great, thank you.
All right, Mr. Maniscalco, I have a few things. First one is, and Mrs. Seneth, maybe we could, or Mr. Maniscalco, maybe we can confirm this. I think the capital projects meeting is at 4:30 tomorrow, so it's not 5.
4:30, okay.
Yep. Let's see. So the DMV comment, or the motor vehicle comment, is that telling us that we have about 1,000 cars where car taxes are unpaid?
That have not paid timely as of yet, correct.
Okay. On the S&P rating, I think I heard you say something about $1 million. For the next meeting, could you just let us know, since we used the example of our 3.04 and Manchester's 3.14, could you just tell us, like, if we had gotten 3.14, how much more we would have paid?
Yeah, I can try to work that out. The challenge we were running into when I was trying to just do it on the back of a napkin in my office is Manchester issued 18 million versus us issuing 14 million. And there's a benefit to issuing larger typically. So I don't know how much benefit that got them or not, but I'm going to talk to our financial advisor about that and see what I could come up with.
Okay. And then just for the public, under the snow budget, you used the term additional budgetary measures. I think I know what that means, but would you like to?
Sure. So some options, that may mean that we put a hiring freeze in place. It may mean that we decide to not do certain projects in the springtime as a result. So those are the two big ones we've got in our back pocket.
Okay. And you talked about the attorney RFP. Obviously, you may end up kicking out somebody for not being responsive or something, but could you tell us how many firms have responded?
Yeah, so we received 5.
Okay.
And we will share the information from all 5 with the committee.
Okay. I'm going to take a shot. Attorney Krella, this is sort of related, I guess. Can I just go back and ask you a question? I just want to make sure I understand, because I don't want to have this question an hour and a half from now when we get to the end of the meeting. Since we did have an executive session on the agenda, and since we did vote to add the new executive session topic to the agenda, we still, when we get to that topic, a 5-4 to say we're going to executive session is not good, or whatever, 5 votes is not good enough. We need a majority. So if I understand that if we didn't have it on the agenda at all, but what was the point of us voting to move it? That was a mistake on our part, to add it to that section, because there's no reason to have to do that. We could have done that at the end and done it in one fell swoop.
I'm not too sure I follow what you're asking, but in order to go into executive session, you need 2/3 of those present and voting to vote to go into executive session. That's the rule under FOIA.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. So even because it's on the agenda, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, I learned something new. Councilor Pendleton.
Thank you. Mr. Maniscalco, could you please help me out here with the S&P rating and what is after a AAA rating? How much better can we get?
You can't get any better than that.
Okay, that's what I was asking. So A+ is not as good as our AAA.
No, not at all.
Okay. All right,
I think
thank you.
that's 3 or 4 rungs below us.
Okay. All right. So, well, we got to try to get a better rating for us. I know at one point we were at 2%. I thought a couple of years back it was pretty good. Now, the other thing, could you please explain what CMDA is, please?
The Connecticut Municipal Development Authority.
And that does what, please? Real quick overview.
So essentially, the state of Connecticut put together a quasi-state agency called CMDA. They've given them funding through issuing bonds, and it's their job to issue those funds for development and redevelopment within municipalities to promote community centers, housing, and redevelopment.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. And I will see you tomorrow at 4:30 at Capitol, but I will speak to you tomorrow sometime during the day.
Sounds like a plan, and I will talk to S&P about changing the rating system to add another rating for us.
Great. We deserve one, like AAA+ or something.
Like a
But
4 A's or something.
Yeah, there you go. If you could ask Ms. Patty Perry about the budget information for tomorrow's Capitol, I'd appreciate that. So then we could go in there with some budget information. If you look at the agenda, we need some information to proceed with Capitol tomorrow.
Okay, we'll talk tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
All right, item 7 is public input. So I'll just read what we always read. Public input shall not exceed 30 minutes. When recognized by the mayor, the speaker shall approach the lectern, give their name and address. Speakers shall avoid personal attacks or impugning or alleging an improper motive to any person. The speaker may address the council on any item on the agenda. The speaker shall limit their speaking time to 5 minutes. The town council does not respond at the same meeting. You speak to us. Would anybody like to speak to the town council tonight? And again, if you would give us your name and address. Oh, I'm sorry, we have a sign-up sheet, and I'm going to apologize. Is it Lidgie Ellen Millard? And I apologize. Why don't you come on up?
Nope, that was a good pronunciation. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Zimmerman, Deputy Mayor Paterna, and members of the South Windsor Town Council. My name is Lidgie Ellen Millard, and I reside at 134 Norton Lane in South Windsor. Is that good? Okay. So I am a member of the Social Justice and Racial Equity Commission, here to speak on its behalf. I come before you to address the possible merging of the Social Justice and Racial Equity Commission with the Human Relations Commission. We request that as the Social Justice and Racial Equity Commission possibly merges with the Human Relations Commission, the ordinance of the Social Justice Commission remains intact in its original form. During its most recent meeting, our commission was pleased to welcome an active member of the Human Relations Commission, Christine Shahar. During that meeting, we reviewed the missions of both commissions, and it was made clear that the core goals of the Human Relations Commission, established in 1978 to promote fairness and meaningful responses to bias and discrimination, are embedded within the Social Justice and Racial Equity Commission. The Social Justice and Racial Equity Commission was established in 2021, by then Mayor Paterna to, quote, foster the development of a more diverse community, to address specific issues at the core of racial, ethnic, economic, and gender bias, and to suggest and implement proactive opportunities to combat racial, ethnic, economic, and gender disparities as a public health crisis. The Social Justice Commission is a contemporary approach to addressing diversity, inequalities, and bias. As South Windsor grows ever more diverse, the Social Justice and Racial Equity Commission is not optional. It is a necessity. Moreover, the Social Justice Commission requires at least monthly meetings to carry out its duties. I am so proud that this town in which I grew up and now reside with my own children has developed such a profound commission. We ask you to honor and support the thoughtful work that was done to establish the Social Justice and Racial Equity Commission by preserving its ordinance in its original form. Now I would like to make a personal statement on the matter separate from the commission. I wonder why there is a need to dissolve or merge these two commissions. The two commissions have different sets of tasks assigned to them, but they both stand for peace, respect, unity, fairness, and equality between groups, right? Aren't these values we all cherish and want for human society? Even if, unfortunately, many of us don't wish to step up and take on the challenges. And can we really expect that one commission, or even three, can finish the tremendous work of instilling respect and equality? Why are we using the lack of participation in a commission as a reason to do away with it? The Human Relations Commission has been doing good work for over 47 years, and the Social Justice and Racial Equity Commission was added to our town to address very specific needs that became evident in our community more recently. Both are valuable on their own. Diminishing or ending either commission is like saying we should stop hoping for peace because no one is willing to take the lead. Why not simply indicate on the commission's website that it is inactive and seeking members? There's no burden of cost or time to our South Windsor. There's no burden of cost or time to our town in allowing a commission to wait for leadership to emerge. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mark DeCiancia, 39 Debbie Drive. I guess I have a couple of questions, once again, regarding the Shank Road issue, also known as the South Windsor Park and Recreation, Scannick River, Greenway, and Blueway project. What I'd like to know first off the bat, what does the South Windsor Charter allow us to have a road outside our boundaries of our town? Does the South Windsor Charter allow us to acquire this road in another town with only a town council vote? So as I do my research under the American Rescue Plan Act, the number that were assigned by the state is 28248. That's also known as the South Windsor Riverfront. I would really appreciate it if we could have a total transparency on the land deed. But I also found some stuff that was very interesting. I have multiple information. It's just mind-boggling how nothing is transparent. But I found this, and I think it was pretty interesting. The community should know. Town of South Windsor Park and Rec, Scannick River, Greenway, Blueway project. Items described. Property study for the linear park. The cost is $100,000. A doctor, ADA compliant bridge walkway from the parking lot to the launch pad is tagged at $40,000. The third item, the doctor ADA compliant dock launch system, I didn't even know we had a boat launch down there yet, is for $45,000. I don't know if this is for the study or not. We also have 3 miles of scenic blueway clearing of the riverbanks. Initially, that's through the study also, but that was also the price tag of $145,000. We also have a parking lot refinished and maintenance for $5,000. Also, we have a freestanding commercial concrete mounted boat a freestanding commercial concrete mounted boat 8-rack purchase installed for $3,000. And at last, we have 2 picnic tables for $1,400, for a total of about $340,000. I didn't know this study included all this. I didn't even know that we even had inlet wetlands approval to even go down to the river yet. So what I'd like to know is I would really like to see that deed process and have it for the whole town to read. I don't want to go through a whole rigmarole and ask for it. Just come out and tell us the truth here. There's something missing here. It's been missing from 2019. We had Mayor Paterno at that time was involved with it. I'm sure he can give us enough information and it will be over with. I just want to know the transparency of that land purchase over there. I also found out today, after doing some research, if we do accept that road, guess what? One of the houses actually has their sewer and leach field in the road itself, and a well water is 10 feet from the property line of the road. Did anybody know that prior to this deed? I don't know. There's all these questions that are unanswered. So I think this council should, really start looking into this. And it doesn't date back to the last 2 councils. We're talking the councils back to 2017 when Senator Anwan was there. So there's some answers that should be addressed. Thank you very much for your time. And thank you for organizing your Monday, the 23rd, for the economic development. Thank you.
Anybody else from the public? Mr. Wagner?
Good evening. My name is Steve Wagner. I live at 181 Tumblebrook Drive in South Windsor. I'm here speaking on behalf of the Energy Committee. I'm not the chair. In fact, we do not have a chair. Our previous chair was not reelected, and we have not been able to have a quorum to elect a new chair. So we don't actually have a chair now. We did have a group of us get together for a discussion a week ago. I'd like to report the results of that in regard to item 13F on your agenda, which changes the Energy Committee meeting to be a quarterly meeting. The members present, and again, it wasn't a quorum, but the members present felt that that would be detrimental to attendance, which is already a problem with that committee. And if the purpose of doing that was to somehow improve our quorum, our ability to get a quorum, we don't think that's the right answer. Actually, the reason we're having trouble getting a quorum is that we actually have a membership problem. We have 12 members listed as members. That requires a quorum of 7, which is 6 plus 1. The commission, the Energy Committee has 2 counselor positions. One of them is vacant, the former chair who wasn't reelected, and one of them is a counselor who does not attend the meetings. So we're already down 2 because of that. We have 2 staff positions, and by the way, it's up to the council to fill that vacancy, and it hasn't been filled. So we have 2 staff positions, a town engineer and the Board of Education Director of Facilities, who often have conflicts, and neither one of them was able to attend a week ago at our regularly scheduled meeting. We also have 1 resident who never attends. So right now we have, as I said, a membership problem. It's almost impossible to get a quorum, given that the remaining members have often occasionally have problems, a personal issue or a personal conflict that they can't go. So instead of changing us to quarterly meetings, I suggest that we reduce the meeting to the size of the Energy Committee to 7 or 5 members plus 2 alternates. Make the staff members ex officio members. They're very valuable, but with their other duties, often they can't come. So that makes it hard for us to get a quorum if they're counted in the calculation of what a quorum is. We do have a core group of enthusiastic members who want to continue, and we all feel that meeting monthly would help us with projects that we want to pursue. If we did do that, and we did have a membership of 7, we could elect a chair, and we would also like to advise the council on updating the charter. The charter is, I think, on page 14 of the revised I'll call them bylaws, and it needs to be updated. The members that were present would also like to look into our changing this into a sustainability committee. This has happened in other towns, such as Simsbury. We would like to spend some time investigating how they work and come back to you with a recommendation. But again, without a quorum, we can't do any of that. So the sustainability would include energy, environment, and resilience. It's more narrow in its scope than the committee you are eliminating, which is the Sustainable Connecticut Committee. That committee actually, its only job was to fill out a huge application to gain a status with the state's Sustainable Connecticut program. And that committee, I think, is correctly being removed, okay? But we would like to change, or we're thinking about recommending changing to a sustainability committee. And that would give us a more action-oriented concept of sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else from the public that would like to speak? Mr. Edwards?
Oh, thank you. That's all right. Let me write this down. You didn't even sign in, did you? That's all right. Give me a second here. Here, you want to sign in? Go ahead.
You'd think of all the times I've told people to do this, I'd get it right.
There's got to be a way to type this stuff in. It's too time consuming. Give me a second here, just making sure I put this in.
While Mr. Edwards is doing that, Mrs. Center, since we have, and I give them credit, let's say 8 or 10 people that are more regular people for public comment, is there a reason why they have to put anything other than their name?
I have no problem with putting my name.
Well, I'm asking a question. Would speed it up? Okay. Okay. All right. Mr. Edwards.
Good evening. My name is Dan Edwards, 131 Hilton Drive, and I'm speaking tonight as a resident who cares deeply about transparency, accountability, and the integrity of our local government. I'm here to respectfully but firmly oppose the council's plan to enter executive session on any item related to the election-related lawsuit, FOIA, that was requested to be added to the agenda by Councilor Paterna. Executive sessions are supposed to be used sparingly and only when absolutely necessary. It is not a tool to shield discussions from the public when those discussions directly affect public trust, and when the issue involves elections, public records, and the conduct of certain public officials, the need for transparency is even greater. Firstly, according to Councilor Paterna, and I summarize because I had not planned to come to speak tonight, but was watching the meeting and felt I needed to come down. Firstly, according to Councilor Paterna, a resident has submitted an FOIA in response to the election lawsuit. That means residents are already seeking information related to a lawsuit against the town filed by a candidate on the Democrat municipal slate who is not seated. There is a serious conflict of interest here. Several councilors are potentially acting in a dual capacity in this matter. When an individual is both involved in the underlying events and positioned to deliberate on the town's response, that is a town textbook conflict. No matter how well-intentioned they may be, they cannot be both an actor in this situation and a decision-maker in this situation. Even if that counselor believes they can somehow remain objective, the standard is not, do they think they can be fair? The standard is, would a reasonable member of the public question their impartiality? And in this case, that answer is clearly yes. If the council proceeds into executive session with those individuals present, the public has no way to verify whether they are influencing the decision, shaping the narrative, or protecting their own public interests. That is exactly why recusal exists, to prevent even the appearance of self-interest from contaminating the process. Thirdly, entering executive session under these circumstances exposes the town to unnecessary legal and procedural risk. We even had a discussion tonight about procedural risk. If decisions are made privately with those conflicted individuals present, and there are 3 of them tonight, those decisions can be challenged, invalidated, or even drawn into the litigation itself. Transparency is not just good governance, it is legal protection. It ensures that the town's actions can withstand scrutiny, and to that point, I would also ask that the town attorney, if requested to join, recuse himself. This council has stated its commitment to openness and public trust. Entering an executive session on a matter involving elections, public records, and conflicts of interest contradicts that commitment. If the council wants to demonstrate integrity, the most powerful way to do that is to keep this discussion in public view. So tonight, I urge you, feel free to enter executive session, but not on this item. And if this item is brought up, there are 3 counselors, and as well as the town attorney, that I would think should consider recusing themselves. I'd also like to ensure that any counselor acting in a dual capacity, of which there are 2 tonight, my apologies, or with any conflict of interest, that they recuse themselves appropriately. This is a moment to rebuild trust, not erode it. The public deserves clarity, not closed doors. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else from the public that would like to speak to us tonight? All right. Seeing no one.
Mr. Mayor?
Yep. Deputy Mayor Paterna.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to ask the town attorney, are any one of us doing anything wrong by having you as the town attorney update us on a lawsuit? I'm not party to the lawsuit. Mr. Balboni is. Should he be recusing himself if there's a discussion? No, I mean, if he were here, would he have to recuse himself? I mean, we need to have a clarification from the town attorney.
I think that things are changing in the lawsuit such that there may be a conflict for yourself and for Mr. Cordero, Councilor Cordero, to not participate in an executive session regarding this pending litigation, now that it's no longer simply a matter of voting issues, but now it's a matter of the charter revision itself and what was done in that process. Up until this point, it's not really been about that. It's been about whether or not the town clerk was acting as an election official. That has been ruled on by the Supreme Court now. And the matter has morphed a little bit into a declaratory action where Mr. Balboni is a party and where Deputy Mayor Paterna and Councilor Cordero, as members of the Charter Revision Commission, are likely going to be called as witnesses. So I do think that at this point in time, you may have a obligation to recuse yourself from any executive session. Yeah, so I think that answers your question.
All right. We're up to item 13A, which we moved up to this point, which is new business. Councilor Delnicki.
Thank you. Resolution approving amendments to the Town Council rules and procedures. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves the revised Town Council rules and procedures as shown in attached Exhibit A.
Second.
All right. Thank you. First of all, Attorney Krell, I want to thank you and Mrs. Center and obviously Councilor Delnicki and Councilor Pendleton for a lot of the heavy lifting. Just so the audience knows, and then I'll open it up if anybody has any remaining questions. Where we landed last meeting, I believe, and what's in the document that the town attorney updated was that we're not touching how we select the mayor or the deputy mayor. That will be we're leaving the language that's in the current rules, which mirrors the language that's in the charter that basically says the town council shall select a mayor and deputy mayor. No comments about party or leading vote or whatever, even though I will put on the record, generally for my time in town.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor. Since it was my resolution, I was going to.
Okay. All right. I will defer to you. Go ahead.
Yeah, you stepped on basically on my.
Go ahead.
Okay. The selection of mayor, which is in the charter, which is section 302, organization. It basically does say what the tradition has been, because some parties feel that they get to choose who the mayor is going to be, because past practice has been the highest vote getter of the majority winning party. And some individuals in a party think they have the option to choose that mayor, even though, as the charter does state in organization, as I said, section 302, it states the council shall then proceed to choose one of its members as mayor and one of its members as deputy mayor, each to serve the ensuing 2 years or until such time as a successor is duly chosen. So in the charter, it states that it's the council that chooses, not the voting public. They vote for us, and then we as a council choose the mayor and deputy mayor. And also under section 304 is the procedures, and it says the council shall determine its own rules of procedure not inconsistent with the provisions of this charter. So with the discussion of method of selection, for Mrs. Center to note in parentheses, if she can mention charter section 302, organization, where other sections are referenced, the charter is referenced under certain sections. So if you can just add that, charter, comma, section 302, organization. So that way it's in the rules that we're following the charter and not party or any other outside sources. And I think that was my only section that I had to comment on.
All right, and before I open it to the rest of the council, I just want to, so the other things that are in the document, just for the public, is exactly what we talked about last meeting, which is our public comment would mirror the Board of Ed in that the early public comment, which I think is number 7, and the late public comment I don't know if it's 13 or whatever, 15, would have the same rules. You'd be able to talk here for 5 minutes. I think the board actually is 3 or 4, but you'd be able to talk here for 5 at the beginning, at the end. Anything that's within our jurisdiction, it doesn't matter whether it's on the agenda, and we would keep in the language that says, you know, your language needs to be appropriate. You can't really go after people, whatever. But those, I think those are the highlights. We made very few changes. That's where I thought we ended up, so that's where I wanted to begin today. And just for people's reference, we need 6 votes to pass a change to the council rules, not just 5. Does anybody have any comments? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All right. Councilor Danicki, okay. All right. All those in favor? Aye.
Mr. Mayor.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Mayor.
Attorney
Just
Crowell.
one caveat to that. Your existing rules actually say that in order to amend the rules and procedures, you need 2/3 plus 1.
Oh, I'm sorry, so that's 7.
7. So you need 7 of you to.
So, yeah, we had that question because there's only 8. Is it 7 or is it? Oh, because
It's
we have the
7.
chart. 7 plus 7? Okay. All right. All right, all those in favor? Aye? Aye. Anybody opposed? All right, we met the challenge. All right, we are item 8, adoption of minutes of previous meetings. Councilor Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Approval of the February 2nd, 2026 Town Council regular meeting minutes. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves the minutes of the regular Town Council meeting of February 2nd, 2026.
Second.
All right, any questions, concerns? All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you, passes unanimously. Number 9 is communications from liaisons, officers, and boards directly responsible to the council. Councilor Roulette.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an update. So last week, now we've talked about 830G and HB 8002. Connecticut Senate released a bill, published a bill last week, Senate Bill 151, which aims to dramatically alter or erase our local zoning laws. The bill was published on Thursday. The state was shut down on Monday for Washington's birthday, and the public hearing was today at 11 a.m. This thing is being fast-tracked. For those here and those who are watching or listening online, there are some points I want to convey. It changes our zoning regulation and allows us now to have no larger than a 5,000 square foot lot size. So R40, which is 1 acre zoning, we can't do that anymore under this bill. Our lot size would be 5,000, 1/9 of an acre. The second is it caps setbacks for homes and accessory structures to 10 feet for front and rear and 5 feet on the sides. That means our houses will be postage stamped next to each other. It bans exterior dimension limits and lot coverage maximums for single-family homes and townhouses. That means no more height limits, and buildings can cover the entire lot except for setbacks, which are 5 and 10 feet. It requires townhomes to be allowed in single-family zoning districts. It requires municipalities like South Windsor to allow single-family zoned lots, even those with a house on it, to be subdivided into 3 lots. What that means for us as a town is every time we have an empty nester that leaves, someone can come in, bulldoze that house down, and build 3 houses on that existing lot. It changes the character of neighborhoods all over South Windsor. Prohibits the town from forcing developers to provide off-street parking, which causes a public safety and snow removal challenge for our town. There is no consideration whether utilities, water, and sewer have the capacity for new connections for such density for all areas with public water and sewer. And lastly, there's no consideration of school capacity needs. This bill was not written by Connecticut. This bill was copied from a draft of a Senate bill from Maryland. Maryland does not run their state on a town-by-town basis. They run it on a county basis, and there was a key point in the Maryland law that required county adequate public facilities ordinances, they call them APFOs, which would allow the counties to deny any of these applications unless there was proof that infrastructure exists for sewer, water, roads, and schools. Our senators chose to remove that clause from the language, and now, as the town in Connecticut that is the most stressed school system, we would not be able to say no because we don't have capacity in our school system. I want us to be aware of this, as if this passes, we have an even bigger problem, budget-wise. That would add students to our school system that we would have nowhere to put them. So right now we have no control over it. We don't know if it's going to pass, but public hearings are today. I haven't had a chance to listen to them. I will listen to them and give feedback at the next meeting.
Mr. Maniscalco, how do we formally, because, you know, we informally obviously can contact our state reps and our state senator, some quicker than others, but how do we formally find out if this is, I know there are, you know, and you ended up, Councilor Roulette, I know there are bills entered every year that you wonder like where they came from and who they had no possible chance to pass. This, on the other hand, sounds like somebody did a little work, a little more work than that, and it goes against not only what the legislature just did, but also what the governor just negotiated in seemingly good faith. This would be kind of, I don't want to say the exact opposite, but radically different. Do you have a way to find out from our three legislators if this is something we need to really seriously worry about?
So rather than go to our legislators, what I would suggest and what I can do is send an email to both our connection at the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities as well as our connection at the Council of Small Towns. Both of those are active lobbying groups that are involved in lobbying on behalf of municipalities in the state of Connecticut. I did see a quick blurb come across today. I've been sequestered in meetings almost all day, but about that public hearing going on and that they were in opposition to it, but that was the first I had seen of it. So it does seem like it's being fast-tracked and rushed through. I can try to get some additional information for all of you and send it out in the interim between now and your next meeting.
Just, you know, speaking for myself, and I'll go to Councilor Delnicki and then Fitzgerald. I mean, if this has any chance to pass, I would think we'd want special meetings, people to come on in. We certainly need to know a lot more about it. I'm hoping it was just, you know, somebody kind of threw it out there, but, you know, I respect the fact that Councilor Roulette can read. He's a pretty smart guy, and he's got my attention.
I would also throw out there that as a council, you do have the ability to approve a letter. If somebody wants to, you know, draft something together, we could get it in front of all of you and you could vote at one of your meetings. Those typically carry quite a bit of weight, seeing as it's not just a letter from an individual, you know, politician or elected person or even town manager. It's something that would, you know, carry the weight of an entire council that was voted on by them. So that's something to think about as well.
Okay. I'm going to go to Councilor, I think I said Delnicki, and then Fitzgerald. Just one other last thing. If we wanted to, if we did contact our three representatives, you can certainly share the information. We're not breaking any rules. It would be a one-way information. All right. Councilor Delnicki.
That is a very concerning bill, because I was at Planning and Development last week. They were talking about the accessory units, yeah, ADUs, but also it's only in committee, so just because they had a public hearing today doesn't mean it's going to get voted out of committee. I mean, which it would be a good thing that if it doesn't. And then if it does get voted out of committee, that doesn't mean it's going to make it to the floor. So it could be fast-tracked, having a hearing today fast, but it doesn't mean it's going to come out of committee and then the next step. It doesn't mean it's going to make it to the floor. But that doesn't mean it can't come back next year when it's the long session. So.
Councilor Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Parks and Rec Commission met back on February 4th. Give me 1 second, sorry. So just a few things. The first week of March, the spring and summer book of the Rec Department's offerings should be coming out. They mail out 12,186 copies of that every year. A couple of other little factoids that I learned in the meeting. We have the largest adult volleyball league in the state with 40 teams over 2 divisions. They have adult leagues of varying, sports going every single night in the rec gym. This year they had 1,200 kids in the town's basketball programs. Every night the rec department uses all of the elementary schools, Ellsworth, TE, and the Parks and Rec gym, and it's booked from 6 to 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night every single night. And they still have groups that they can't accommodate, and the town keeps growing. Also, for residents to know, if they didn't know, but the Parks Department helps our Public Works Department and the street crew clean the snow with snow removal. So in addition to obviously clearing out the parks, the parking lots and whatnot, they help the street crews with clearing sight lines and the hydrants and sidewalks. So thank you very much to our Parks Department for doing that. Also, they are, the Parks and Rec is trying to spruce up the cafeteria in the old Orchard Hill School. The floor tiles keep breaking, and it's an asbestos issue because they're asbestos tiles. They also are going to be removing the portables soon because they have, by double the amount of years outlived their capacity and they're kind of falling down. But that is also going to create a space issue over in the Parks and Rec building. So just a couple of things to keep in mind. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're up to item 10, reports from committees. Seeing none. Consent agenda. Let's see, we are 11B, second read. Councilor Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion to approve 11B1 through 11B4 as a second reading on the consent agenda. Number 1, resolution appointing Sue W. Larson as an alternate member of the Inland Wetlands Agency/Conservation Commission. 2, resolution appointing Will Coursey as a member of the Park and Recreation Commission. 3, resolution appointing Steve Lewis as a member of the Inland Wetlands Agency/Conservation Commission, replacing Dan Katzbeck. 4, resolution appointing Rose Maturo as a member of the Patriotic Commission.
Second.
All right, any questions, concerns? All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Number 5 and forward, Councilor Roulette.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion to approve 11B5 through 11B12 as a second reading on the consent agenda. Number 5, resolution appointing Justin Bordua as a member of the Agricultural Commission. Number 6, resolution appointing James Futner as an alternate member to the Agricultural Commission. Number 7, resolution appointing Nicholas Jones as an alternate member to the Agricultural Commission. Number 8, resolution reappointing Daniel Zen as a member of the Agricultural Commission. Number 9, resolution reappointing Frank Niederwerfer as a member of the Agricultural Commission. Number 10, resolution reappointing Dan Katzbeck as a member of the Inland Wetlands Agency/Conservation Commission, replacing James McDonald. Oh, one more. Number 11, resolution appointing Matt Reed as a member of the Patriotic Commission, replacing Arthur Sladek. Number 12, resolution appointing John Torres as an alternate member of the Zoning Board of Appeals to replace the unexpired term of Terry Parrott.
Is there a second?
I'll say a second, but also a correction on 11B10 is resolution appointing Dan Katzbeck, not reappointing.
Yes, we're actually appointing, okay.
May I ask a question?
Councilor Pendleton.
Thank you. To the town attorney, about half of these appointments are farmers that make money off of their farmland, and they're going on to the Agricultural Commission. Is that not a conflict of interest? Because the Ethics Committee talks about a financial gain within our charter. Is this not a clear picture of that?
Does the Agricultural Commission vote on awarding any leases or financial remuneration to anybody who's leasing property from the town?
That would be
No,
Mr.
they don't.
Maniscalco.
Right, so I don't think there's a conflict then.
Okay, thank you. Just want to clarify that.
Councilor Ouellette.
All right, so I just want to make sure I didn't screw this up, because I probably did. 1110 for Dan Katzbeck. Under the headline is resolution appointing, but underneath it says hereby reappoints Dan Katzbeck. So
And that's where during the, Audrey Delnicki, Councilor Delnicki, that's where I changed, where it says reappoints in the be it resolved, I changed it to
So
appoint.
it's just resolution appointing. Sorry, I marked my sheet up the wrong way. My bad.
Before we vote, Deputy Van Paterno, do you have anything?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A question about Nicholas Jones. I thought he was already a member of the Ag Commission. Shouldn't we be reappointing him? No?
Okay, well, this is the second reading.
Okay, well, he's on either way.
I think he was going to be appointed as a regular, and then when we got it all straightened
Oh,
out.
because he was an alternate. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Attorney Crowell, do you have?
No, he's
okay.
shaking his head, yes.
Okay. All right.
I think that's correct.
All right.
Yeah.
You're good? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Passes unanimously. Thank you. We already did 13A, so now we're up to 13B, and this is requested by Councilor Cordero and Councilor King.
I'll go ahead and start. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Discussion item 13B, to introduce an amendment to ordinance number 76 to dissolve the Human Relations Commission, Exhibit C. Do I have to read all of it?
It's your discussion item.
Okay. So I got to read the next one?
No, it's your discussion item. You start talking on it.
Okay, does anybody have any? Councilor King.
Thank you. So with each one of these discussion items, we did take great care to discuss them, and that's the reason why we brought it before the council, so it can also be brought in front of the public. I do appreciate the resident who spoke about dissolving the Human Relations Commission in regards to perhaps holding off on that. I do appreciate that. However, what I would like to suggest, and part of the reason was, as was suggested, the fact that they just didn't meet. And I recognize the fact that perhaps if we do make a change to the website saying that we are looking for people, but I think to a certain extent, it might be counterproductive to say, for example, we're looking for members, and we can try it and then come back, perhaps. Again, we will have a public discussion about it once it does go up for a vote, and then we may vote it up or down at that particular time as well. However, what I don't want to see happen is that we do have people that may want to be a part of it, but then they're not able to meet, similar to what was brought to our attention tonight, and I appreciate Mr. Wagner speaking on it, in regards to the Energy Committee, where we might have too many because sometimes, as with many of these committees and commissions, we may have had too many people on it. And that's not something, honestly, for me, I'll speak for myself. I didn't really consider that maybe we just had too many. And, because even in looking at this energy committee, I was like, 2014, there might have been a reason for that. As with many of these committees and commissions, at the time that they were put together, I'd probably say 99% of the time, there was a reason at that time that they were put together, and probably with that amount. That being said, as we're talking about B specifically, I don't think that there would necessarily be a problem, because later on we're talking about merging the Human Relations Commission into the Social Justice, because that committee can add to it what it would like to do. And that could encompass both. I guess my point is, I don't want to frustrate any particular committee or commission unless we reduce it to 5 or 3, whereby people just don't show up. And I think that at the time was probably the bigger concern for myself and Councilor Cordero as we were going through each one of these. So that's just something to put out there. I appreciate, and that's why we have the public come in and talk about these things, because they're things that maybe we didn't consider. And that is one of those pieces. But I would suggest that if we were to dissolve the Human Relations Commission and put that into another, and I don't have it with me. It's like the one time I forget my book bag. And because I can't remember, and Kathy, maybe you might remember if you have it, when is the last time HRC actually met? Yeah, it's been a...
So I have it here, Human Relations.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Councilor Cordero.
Correct. So I have it in here that they're back in 2024.
Okay. So 2024, they actually had a quorum where they actually met.
Yeah.
So that's 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago.
Actually, correction, I think correct. 2023, June of 2023. So it's been almost 3 years.
Right.
And that was my concern we both shared, is that social justice had a good structure because it brought in liaisons from other groups like the town manager's office, the Board of Education person, member, Chamber of Commerce, and so forth.
Police, yep.
And the police department. So it's a tremendous structure. I was a part of it. You were a liaison
Yes.
at the time for it. Councilor Roulette was actually a member as well. It's a great structure, great folks, do a lot of good things. But we had discussed, because, not taking it away from Human Relations, but when you don't meet for almost 3 years, at some point, if I didn't bring this up in the last few months, right, how long would that have gone before somebody else would have noticed, okay, they haven't met 3 years, 4 years. I understand the purpose of when it was designed, when it was created back in 1978, but at some point, moving forward, that's why I strongly agree with the social justice. It's a great structure. It brings in a lot of people from other parts of town.
Agreed. And they can vote on it. They can vote on it within the social justice, and they can say, we'd like to add this as part of our
structure, right?
Guys, councilors, could I just make sure that everybody go through me, so we actually know who's speaking when we try to watch the tape afterwards?
Sure.
Right, so, Councilor King, I'll go to you, and then I'm going to go back to Councilor Cordero, and then I'll go to Councilor Roulette.
Sure, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so at the end of the day, I think that we can add to the social justice, and I appreciate you speaking up on that, because again, that is not something that we necessarily considered. We talked about it, but at the same time, we don't want to have a situation in which people are frustrated because not everybody has the same level of, what's the word I'm looking for, that the social justice team did, because everybody kept meeting for that one, but they weren't for HRC. So I'll leave it there for that one, for point B.
Councilor Cordero.
No, I just agree with Councilor King. That's why I just want to bring up the date last time they met. That's why I interrupted. So I apologize for that part.
Totally okay. I'm just trying to follow the little note that we have in front of us. Councilor Roulette.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So it is really related to B and C together here with human relations and social justice. I love my time on social justice. We struggled getting a quorum. I know Councilor King, there are many, many months where we would get notice the day before we can't get enough people, no quorum. So we weren't meeting and we weren't getting the job done. Same thing with human relations. They're not able to get a quorum. They may have one or two people that are passionate about whatever subject matter they want to take or help take action on. The thought is blending the two of them together does two things. It allows all voices to be heard and all content to be addressed. And the second is it helps us get to quorum, which is where we've struggled. So that's that was my logic behind supporting this.
Anyone else on?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Just as
Councilor King?
Yes, thank you. Stephen King Jr. speaking. Okey-doke. Just for a point of reference, the Human Relations Commission, the composition of it is 9 members. And if you don't have the 2/3 of that for the quorum, then they just never meet. However, if we add or even have liaisons or something to the effect of the Social Justice and Racial Equity Commission, which only has 8, we might have it rev up a little bit better in terms of having those same people, if it's only 1 or 2 that were consistent of the 9 to join. So it's just for a point of reference in regards to the Human Rights Commission, in order to meet, the composition was originally set up to have 9 people. And that was probably another one of the biggest reasons.
All right, I'm going to go on to 13C, but before I do that, I have the same comment for basically all of these. I think I asked last meeting, and you know, we kind of heard from a couple of people from the public today. I really think we should formally make sure that we've discussed these changes with the 3 political parties and that every member of any of these groups are notified. So nobody's surprised that we're having these discussions. So again, I asked it last meeting, I will ask it again. Hopefully before we actually vote, we'll be able to say, because I don't really want to make a change and then have to deal with any of the 3 political parties who may view having these committees and commissions differently than maybe us, and also some members. I did hear from one member of the Human Relations Commission, I'll just say one member, who dutifully tried to show up every time, but they might have been a couple people short. So I just think we need to do that as part of the process, but I'm going to go on to 13C.
And myself. So.
Councilor Pendleton.
Thank you. I have a question concerning, for Kathy. Could we please get a listing of when all of the members were appointed to these? Because to hear that this was created in 1978, the Human Relations Commission, last time they met was 2001, I think is what Councilor Cordero said. But if we could get a listing of all the members to make sure that their membership was full. I don't know if it was full. We don't know if it was full. Yeah, just to get that information either sent to us via email or documentation or something like that. I appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, so I'm going to move on to Councilor Delnicki, I'm trying. Go ahead. We're still on 13B?
Yeah, but that's okay. It's combining the 2 commissions. I just like to, because when Councilor King mentioned 8 members for social justice and there's 9 for human relations, we can look into what we did with the Agricultural Commission from Commissioner Kennedy, is maybe lower the amount to 7, because that was their problem, getting a quorum for the Agricultural Committee. So that could be part of our discussion during the public hearing, to change the membership number to 7.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Mayor.
So we're on,
Mr. Mayor.
Deputy Mayor Paterno.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to comment on Councilor Delnicki's statement about the Ag Commission. I think the other thing they did was they added 3 alternates. So they really had 10 members that they could draw on to get that quorum, and that helped them too. So that's something we ought to consider.
All right, so we're formally going to have discussion on 13C, even though we sort of already have. Does anybody else want to comment on 13C? All right, so I have a couple comments. I'm really glad that we had a speaker come and again tell us formally why that group was put together, how important their responsibilities are. I don't think any of us, I try not to just speak for myself, but I don't think any of us disagree with anything that was said, that the charge is extremely important. It's more important now than it was 40 years ago here in South Windsor, because we actually have diversity that we need to protect more than we might have. It's more important now than it might have been X number of years ago, just what's going on in the world. So I think it's really important. I would be remiss if I didn't share, I do have some concerns, because as I read their charge really, I think it's pretty specific. And I guess I would just challenge them when they move forward to actually kind of, this is going to sound negative, but kind of make sure that they stay in their lane. I saw racial, ethnic, economic, gender diversity, try to bring in experts for the town, try to make sure that the town staff is getting some training. On at least one of their meetings, and I'm not going to go into it in any detail, I think they might have ventured off a little bit, and I really think, and I mean this for all of our boards and commissions, the same with us. I think every time we say anything in public, let alone at a town meeting, it's extremely important, and I think we all need to kind of make sure that when we do that, it's kind of within our realm, if you will. I have no doubt that that group has done some very important work and will continue to do some very important work. I'll speak privately, with the people when we go forward a little bit more clearly. Does anybody have anything on 13C? Attorney Corella and then Mr. Maniscalco?
Yeah, so I just wanted to mention, there was an offline conversation between the town attorney, myself, and then our HR director, Vanessa Perry. We did a little digging and looking at the Human Relations, or the Social Justice Commission ordinance and the way it was drafted historically. And there's a couple areas in it that are a little problematic when it comes to working in a town manager form of government. Specifically, we actually took the ordinance, put it into AI, and asked, do you see problems with this? And it outlined a number of areas where the ordinance is actually providing the commission with additional authority that's overstepping its bounds and getting into the actual administration of the town. So if the council's all right, what I'd like to do is do a little bit of redlining on there and some modification to bring it back, to kind of bring it more in conformance with our town charter and our form of government, so that way we're not getting out of line in that regard.
Great. I was going to kind of echo those comments. For all these discussion items tonight where the committee that was reviewing the boards and commissions, it's easy to amend the ordinance to change the meeting dates or things like that. This is really merging these two commissions, and there's a lot more here that needs to be worked on. Simply taking human relations and putting its duties into social justice is what's been done here, but that's just the starting point. You need to give us being the commission and me and probably the town manager's office, some guidance as to what you want the parameters of this revised Social Justice and Equity Commission to do and not do. And so I would ask your comments on what you see here, and then we'll talk about that at the public hearing, and we'll have another opportunity to kind of redline it some more.
Given that, does it make sense? Do we want to have another meeting where we have a discussion, as opposed to the next meeting was going to be a public hearing? Because you need the changes that we're proposing before we have the public hearing?
I think, yeah, both the town attorney and I were just conferring that I think it would make most sense to kind of postpone moving forward with just this one. We could have a specific item for it at your next meeting and then move forward with that one after.
Okay. Councilor King?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Does it make sense, and I'm just going, and Councilor Cordero, please correct me if I'm wrong. While we talked about quote-unquote merging the duties, B is dissolving the HRC, and I would suggest that it's more about, and I agree with the redlining, thank you for that, that it's more about redlining as it relates to stepping out of the lane. I agree with that. But I think it makes more sense in regards to not necessarily, I'm mad at myself in terms of using the word merge the duties, as opposed to just adding one or two lines into social justice. Like our intent, to be quite honest, and again, please correct me if I'm wrong, Councilor Cordero, when we met, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, was to dissolve the HRC, recognizing that there were components of the HRC that were worth putting into the Social Justice and Racial Equity Commission, and just saying, okay, let's take that, the Social Justice and Racial Equity Commission, which is, for lack of better wording, stronger at this point, more consistent, and add 1 or 2 lines to it that also encompasses what parts of the Human Relations Commission was supposed to be, as opposed to merging them. And I agree, that would be a heck of a lot more work. I'd rather dissolve one, add 1 or 2 lines, because in that case, even after the redlining, the commission itself, as Joe Kennedy used to do all the time, he used to come to us and say, hey, we've met, we think we need to add this, and then we would just vote on it and say, okay, that's fine. So this is something for us. I do agree, Mr. Mayor, do the redlining, bring it back. However, I would like to just take off the whole merging of the duties thing and just say, okay, let's add 1 or 2 lines that perhaps was in the Human Relations Commission, add that to Social Justice and Racial Equity, and then when they meet, they can say to us, hey, this is what we think could be added, and then we can have that vote then. That's not a whole ordeal. We've done that plenty of times. And I think that's really what the spirit of what we were looking to do was supposed to be, as opposed to trying to do that for fellow counselors. So I apologize for that piece. I'm glad we talked through it.
All right. Are we good with 13C?
Yeah.
All right, 13D. And this is to introduce an amendment to dissolve the Mass Transit and Highway Advisory Committee. Discussion item. Is anybody? Councilor King?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. So Stephen King Jr. speaking. I think at the end of the day, and again, you have the notes, Councilor Cordero, I believe we didn't need this anymore because it was a state program. Was that the case? Again, I apologize. Do you have it, Town Attorney? The one time. Wasn't that the reason that we were dissolving it? Because we already had a state level one?
Right. It's not a South Windsor agency.
Councilor Cordero, do you have more?
No, that's it.
Did you want me to?
Oh, Attorney Crowell, my fault.
Just to answer Councilor King's kind of question, the idea here was to dissolve this Highway Advisory Committee. It was established in the 70s, I think at the time when 291 was kind of being extended or created. And it just, the need for this particular advisory committee doesn't exist anymore. There was a discussion about possibly merging it with the Greater Hartford Transit District, but you can't do that. That's its own entity. And so the conclusion, I think, by the committee members was just no need to have this anymore.
Okay, seeing no one's lights. 13E is a discussion item about changing the meeting schedule for the South Windsor Arts Commission. Councilor King?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Stephen King Jr. speaking. And so this one, as I was a liaison after the previous Councilor Evans stepped away, I think that if we change this schedule to quarterly, that it may make more sense as far as the Arts Commission getting together. At that time, there was a lot of individuals that were present when this was in full effect, and it really came down to membership, similar to a lot of these committees right now. It came down to membership, it came down to timing. A lot of those different members that were part of the South Windsor Arts Commission had families, and so they couldn't always meet. We didn't have the idea at that time that they could even meet via Zoom, which is something else that we're gonna, eventually talk about, where sometimes members can have that type of a meeting, so family can still have dinner and still meet at the same time. But this was a very vibrant, but we just thought that if we changed it from a month mandate to a quarterly, the other thing to think about in regards to these meeting time changes is the fact that if they do need something special, say that there's a special event that's coming up that they want to meet, they can call for that. They can call for a special meeting, and then they can meet in between that time. So that's the reason that we thought about changing this meeting from monthly to quarterly.
Councilor Cordero?
Correct. And to follow up with that, the last time this commission met was back in 2024, September of 2024. So it's been a while. And it was formed in 2021 as an ordinance. 8 members.
All right, anybody else? Councilor Delnicki.
Thank you. Just a thought too on the membership. Was any consideration made to maybe lower the members and have more alternates, or just like the agricultural, maybe that could be another consideration?
Through you, Mr. Mayor.
Yep, Councilor. Councilor King.
Stephen King Jr. speaking. Yes, I think that now that we've had this level of discussion about it, again, that's not something that we necessarily considered at the time. That may make some sense. But I still believe, though, that to change it from monthly to quarterly, right, that may make that more feasible. And again, if they do have a special event, they can. But I do think that that is something worth discussing in terms of bringing that number down. That may make it more feasible for them to meet. So thank you, Councilor.
Okay, we're up to 13F, and I guess what I'd like to propose before I go to Councilor Cordero is there any interest in postponing this, given what we heard today, and allow us to maybe take another look at this? Again, I'd love to see, before we actually, get rid of something or change something, are the parties in line? Have we talked to the members? So before we change the meetings of a group that's currently operating, I think we might need a little more time. And I don't want to put a date on it. I don't want to say the next meeting because I'm not sure if they're going to be ready. So I was just going to say let's postpone it. But if there's any interest, and I'll go to Councilor Ouellette and then I'll go to Councilor Cordero.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mike Ouellette speaking. So I don't know if it's appropriate or not, but I'd be curious if we could ask Mr. Wagner, like, if we made it every other month instead of monthly, would that help with establishing a quorum and getting more regular attendance instead of just only 4 times a year, 6 times a year?
Councilor Wagner, or Councilor Wagner, former Councilor Wagner.
Steve Wagner again. I don't know. One subcommittee of Parks and Rec, which is the Walking Ways group, has decided to meet every other month. But I think I would rather see you, if you can possibly do it, change this to 7 so we can meet and come back to you with our, actually have a chair, come back to you with our recommendation of how to proceed with this committee. Every 2 months, every 3 months, every month. When we get projects going and tracking energy use and so on, it is helpful, I think, to meet every month. The alternative is to cancel meetings if we don't have an agenda, which is what happens with Architectural Design Review Committee, for example. So I don't know. That's my personal belief is it would be a big help to get us down to 7 so we can actually meet and come back to you with what we think we'd like to do. and maybe put a counselor into that discussion.
Councilor Cordero?
No problem. Thank you, Mr. Wagner. I have no problem with that. That's not a bad idea, because they originally started with 7 members back in 2024, and they went to 12 members, as I look here in the resolution. If we can, I'll make a motion to table that for next month meeting.
All right, and that shuts off discussion.
Yep.
But I know you didn't have an opportunity.
Second.
All right. All right, all those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Anybody
Aye.
opposed? All right. Roll call, please.
Counselor Olet? Yes. Counselor Pendleton?
Why don't you skip her and then come back?
Counselor Cordero?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Paterna?
Yes.
Mayor Zimmerman?
Yes.
Counselor Delnicki?
No.
Counselor Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Counselor King? Yes. Counselor Pendleton?
Okay, 6-1. All right, is there anything on 13G that's even questionable? Oh, Attorney Crella.
Mr. Mayor, before moving on the items A, B, C, D, and E, the discussion items are to introduce an amendment. Introducing an amendment starts a whole process that the clerk of the council and I have to go through to get these posted, these amendments written up, posted with the town clerk, and set for a public hearing. Is that the intention of the council on any of these?
No, I thought we were gonna take another meeting to have a discussion and give you maybe an opportunity to share some thoughts with us, or us to give some thoughts. I mean, unless people are at this time ready, I didn't hear that we're ready to dissolve, to merge. Or are we ready to have that on the agenda for the next meeting, to have a public hearing?
So,
Councilor King.
yes, to you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Attorney Corella. I think we are ready for D, which was to dissolve mass transit, and to change the meeting schedule of E. I think those two, but in reference to B, C, and now F, I do think that those need to be held again.
That's fine. I just want to make
Yes.
sure I'm clear about what
Yes.
you expect from me and from the council clerk. Also, you should know that those items require an ordinance amendment. Item F just requires a resolution in order to do whatever you want to do. Change the meeting dates,
Right.
change the numbers. That's easier. You don't have to have a public hearing about it. So just be aware of that.
Thank you.
And just a follow-up point of order?
Yep.
If I might. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Stephen King Jr. speaking. I just want to hear from Councilor Delnicki. You voted no. Can I ask why?
I didn't get a chance to speak.
Okay, so
It still passes. Counselor Delnicki speaking.
all right, so 13G. I'll just go to Councilor King.
That's fine.
Go ahead, Councilor King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is just a resolution approving the dissolution of the following boards and commissions: the Accessibility Advisory Committee, the Ad Hoc Space Needs Committee, Agriculture, Arts and Nature Subcommittee, Crumbling Foundations Committee, Park and Recreation Facility Planning and Implementation Committee, Poet Laureate Committee, Sustainable Connecticut Committee, and Transparency Task Force. The reason for all of these, if I may, as I'm making this resolution to approve these, and again, my co-counselor, is because these just are no longer needed. At a certain particular point, say for example, the Poet Laureate, someone can come in and say that they would like to be as opposed to having a full committee, because we've done that in the past where someone has come in and they've been appointed that for our town. The same thing, say for example, with the Park and Recreation Facility Planning and Implementation. If there's something that's coming up, we have a Parks and Rec committee that's doing all those types of things. So that was the reason that these are being put forth to dissolve.
Okay. Okay, second?
You're going to finish
ahead.
reading the resolution?
Yes. Whereas the Town Council has reviewed the recommendations of a subcommittee of the Town Council regarding the dissolution of inactive boards and commissions, which recommends the formal acknowledgement and ratification of those boards and commissions which have already been dissolved by the terms of the resolutions of their formation, and recommends the dissolution of any other board or commission listed herein. Accessibility Advisory Committee, the Ad Hoc Space Needs Committee, Agricultural, Arts and Nature Subcommittee, Crumbling Foundations Committee, Park and Recreation Facility Planning and Implementation Committee, the Poet Laureate Committee, Sustainable Connecticut Committee, and Transparency Task Force. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Council hereby dissolves the following boards or commissions as previously stated.
All right, second. Any questions, concerns? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody against? Abstentions? Passes unanimously. We are up to letter H, and Councilor Delnicki, can you do this? And I'm assuming, are we getting rid of the first two bullets?
I think, aren't we going to, isn't this going to be another discussion item at the next meeting? Shouldn't we table this?
I thought the third
I
and
think you
fourth
could do
one-
it two different ways, just to throw out an option. I mean, you could still hold a public hearing to gain public input on what you may want to do, still have your conversation and everything.
But just remove the first two bullets?
Well, I'm
they
thinking you
mention
could have
social-
them you could have public hearings for both those,
Okay.
even though you've postponed them.
Well, wait a minute. I don't necessarily want a room full of people thinking that we're getting rid of something or merging something when we haven't decided to do that yet. So I would recommend that we get rid of the first two bullets, keep the third and the fourth, mass transit and the Arts Commission. But why would we have, I mean, with due respect, why would we have a public hearing on changing human relations or social justice until we're comfortable that we want to do that? Is everybody okay with, if I could recommend? But Councilor Delnicki, it's I'm
Okay.
making your motion.
Do I just not read those first two bullets, Attorney Carilla?
I think, is that what you guys are concluding, that you're going to go forward with the other two, right? Yeah, so just don't read those other two.
Okay.
Don't read the
first two, yeah, the number 76 and 241. Okay. A resolution setting a public hearing for amendments to the following ordinances. Amendment to ordinance number 96 to dissolve the Mass Transit and Highway Advisory Committee. Amendment to ordinance number 235 to change the meeting schedule of the South Windsor Arts Commission. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby sets Monday, March 2nd, 2026 at 8 p.m. in the council chambers of the South Windsor Town Hall, 1540 Sullivan Avenue, South Windsor, Connecticut, as the time and place for a public hearing to receive citizen input on the amendment to number, where are we? Number 96, dissolve the Mass Transit and Highway Advisory Committee, and amendment to number 235 to change the meeting schedule of the South Windsor Arts Commission.
Thank you. Any questions, concerns? All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Passes unanimously. Letter I, Councilor Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution approving refund batch number 13 for 10 refunds totaling $18,187.77. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves 10 tax refunds, the total of said refunds being $18,187.77, as more fully described in Exhibit B.
Second.
Second.
All right. Any questions? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Passes unanimously. 14, passage of ordinance. We do not have any. Item 15 is public input. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak? Because if not, I'm not going to read the instructions. All right, so there's nobody. So item 16 is communication from the council. Councilor Delnicki.
Yeah, I received a flyer from a member of the Special Olympics. Saturday, February 21st, from 11 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. It's called Swing for a Cause. It's a volleyball tournament being held at Nomads, again at 11 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. And for teams, it's $35 per person. It's for ages 21 and over. It's 7 per team with a minimum of 2 females. Free agents welcome. Three pool games guaranteed, a raffle, and a 50-50 drawing. It's hosted by Club Waka. And again, February 21st, being held at Nomads, 11 a.m. to 6:30 p.m.
Thank you. Councilor King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted to make a note in regards to something that I heard recently on the radio in regards to, and I think it's maybe relevant to us here, especially every time we come in, there's another note that's on our dais, that there is a difference between politics and partisanship. And I thought it was very relevant as I was listening, because politics defined as the process of making group decisions, managing power, and resolving conflicts to govern a community or society. It involves the activities, policies, and actions of governments, as well as the competition between individuals or groups to gain influence and control. At its core, politics determines how resources are distributed and how rules are created. Whereas partisanship is a strong, often blind, loyalty to a specific political party, faction, or cause. It involves prioritizing a party's agenda, beliefs, and goals above the opposing views or the public interests, frequently leading to unwillingness to compromise. Partisans often show bias in information processing favoring their side. In light of certain communications that have come in front of us, I just want to make sure that we are practicing, especially in our world today, more politics than we are partisanship. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Even in talking to specifically my parents in Philadelphia about certain political issues, South Windsor is a very different town as opposed to the rest of our country in a variety of different avenues. And I think that if we can get rid of what I believe to be partisanship and focus more on the politics, where we can have debates over issues and compromise, I think that we'll be in a much better position than what I see in our country today. So again, I would love to have and see more of, not suggesting that we don't do it more often than not, the difference between politics and partisanship. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Paterno.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to remind everyone that on next Monday, February 23rd at 7 p.m., the Mayor's Forum on Business Development in South Windsor, and everyone is invited. We have a number of members of boards and commissions who will be attending, who have responded already. And secondly, on March 12th, the Agricultural Commission is sponsoring a talk on preparing the farm of the future. Conservation easements, grants and funding opportunities, soil health resources, over at the Friends Room at the library at 7 p.m. on March 12th. Another good program. Thank you.
So before we get to item 17, which is executive session, I just want to ask the town attorney, I'm guessing, well, and I'm going to look to my right and left, I'm guessing there's probably more support for going to executive session with what was originally written on the agenda, all right, as opposed to anything that was attempted to be added, all right? So the only comment I'm going to make, and it's not really to the people to my right or left because I think they get it, but to the audience, I just want to be clear, and it was myself that wanted to add those things to the agenda. The deputy mayor was the vehicle to get that done, and all I was trying to do was make sure that everybody to my right and left had the information that I currently have, all right? And we could discuss it as a group. It's been told to me, so that's what was going to be discussed in the room. It wasn't any, secret information that whatever, but I get it. We'll add it to the agenda for the next meeting, and we'll see if it works better when it's on the agenda early. I get the nuance totally understand that. Having said that, item 17, Deputy Mayor Paterna.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move that we go into executive sessions for 2 items. Item A, pursuant to Connecticut General Statutes 1-200, 6C, matters concerning security, strategy, or the deployment of security personnel or devices affecting public security. Item B, proprietary information related to the Buckland Gateway Zone.
Is there a second? All right. All those in favor? Oh, and did we say who we're inviting?
And I'm sorry, and we're going to invite the town manager and the town attorney, yes.
Well, okay.
To the executive session.
Okay, thank
For
you. I
both.
think you, go ahead and vote on this, but then afterwards, I think you need to make a statement or vote on removing that item C that was added, just so that we're clear.
Okay.
Okay? So go ahead and vote on this.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Anybody opposed? All right.
And Mr. Mayor, I'd like to propose that we remove an item from executive session. That was item D, an update on legal issues for the town of South Windsor.
All right, is there a second? Is there a second? Second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, I want to thank the town manager and town attorney for keeping us within the law. Thank you.